All right, breaking news. Shady McCoy apparently going to be released by the Buffalo Bills. That's right. LeSean McCoy and Buffalo going to be parting ways. LeSean McCoy has played 10 years in the league, first 6 in Philadelphia, last 4 in Buffalo. Didn't have an outstanding year last year, only 3 touchdowns. He's 31. He makes a lot of money, and Buffalo looks like they're going to go in a different direction. So, what does this mean for Shady McCoy? What does this mean for the Buffalo running back room? What does this mean for your fantasy draft? Let's get Pete Prisco in and discuss this. Pete, based on this breaking news first, let's take it from a Buffalo Bills running back standpoint. Who elevates up? How much do they elevate up? What do you make of the news from a who's still there standpoint in upstate New York?
Look, this is a perfect example of the running back in the current NFL. You got an older guy making a lot of money, not worth the money. You have a younger guy with fresh legs, a rookie, and Devin Singletary, who's not making a lot of money, and he can be productive. I think this elevates Singletary into the lead back role. Now, will it happen in week 1? Probably not. We know how coaches are. You got a veteran in Frank Gore, you got a veteran in TJ Yeldon, but I think as this season moves along, this is going to be all about Singletary and his ability to carry the workload, because I think by midseason, it will be his job.
All right, so if it's his job midseason, knowing that Buffalo is not exactly a pass-happy offense, I mean, they do have a quarterback who will run the ball, and you love Josh Allen coming out, and he really paid some dividends last year and looks like he's going to be a really good player in the league. How high do you want to take Singletary? Now, I don't necessarily talk about rounds because everybody does it a little differently, but if you're saying, is he now a top 25 running back? Is he a top 20 running back? Is Singletary a top 30 running back? What's sort of the tier or approximate number where he would be on your big board?
Look, I'm one of those guys that likes to speculate when I play fantasy. I like to draft younger backs and see how they play out over the course of the season. So I would probably draft him a little higher than most people. I don't know if he's a top 20 running back, but you can get, he's probably top 25. I would consider him 25, 26, 27. That's where I would put him, because I think if you could get bang for your buck here, this could be a great value, and he could have a big year. We've seen this before. Young backs come into the league. They've got fresh legs, they're more explosive, and they ultimately have big seasons. I think there's a strong possibility that happens for Singletary.
Does this actually mean that Josh Allen's value goes up a little, because he may get a few more rushing touchdowns? They don't have that veteran, proven, has scored double-digit touchdowns kind of guy other than Frank Gore, but Frank Gore has never really been a huge touchdown guy. He's sort of Mr. Consistency and great in the locker room. Could this elevate Allen to 2 or 3 extra rushing touchdowns?
Maybe, but it's not going to elevate him from his fantasy standpoint, because there are so many other quarterbacks in the league. I think what this does, it will elevate him as a player. And the reason I say that, I've said that all offseason. I think they've built this thing around him. I think his numbers from a passing standpoint, if you're looking for that in fantasy, are going to go up. I think his rushing numbers are going to go down. And that's a good thing. From a football standpoint, that's what you want. You want your quarterback standing in there, making the throws, not taking off, not one read and get out. 1, 2, 3, 4, check down. And I think that's where Allen is. So if you're playing fantasy and you draft Josh Allen, I expect his rushing numbers to come down, but I expect his passing numbers and his touchdowns to go up.
I agree. Just because I ask a question, people think that that's my opinion, but I just want to find out what you think about it, and I happen to be on your side there. Now, when Shady eventually goes and signs with another team, you've pointed out Houston. That could be a great fit. They obviously lost their guy, Lamar Miller, and now it's Duke Johnson and friends in that backfield. Look, did Shady get cut because it was a numbers game, whether it's his salary or a crowded backfield, or is Shady done? I mean, if he goes to Houston, do we want him, Pete?
Well, I don't think he's done. I think he's done as a lead back, a number 1 back, a guy you can count on for 1,300 yards. I think those days are over. If you're looking for a veteran who can come in and spot in and be a productive player, I don't think he's done. In fact, I saw him a couple weeks ago in the preseason, and he looked leaner, he looked fresh, he looked like he had some young legs. But I think, when you look at the price in Buffalo, it wasn't worth it. Now, if he goes to another team for veteran minimum, I think he can help them. I think the Texans would be a perfect example. Veteran running back, you spot him in there with Duke Johnson. He can run between the tackles. You can give him 10, 12 touches a game. That would make a lot of sense for me with the Texans.
If he were to sign with either Dallas or the Chargers, and you've said you don't think Dallas or the Chargers would play that kind of, real hardball with Melvin Gordon or Ezekiel Elliott, respectively, but if he did, what would that say to you? Would that mean that you would really think that maybe Zeke or Gordon could sit the whole year?
It would send a message that there's some concern there with the negotiations, yes. I think, but I go back to what I said earlier. I think the Chargers are okay playing Eckler and Jackson. I think they're fine with their young running backs. I think the Cowboys drafted Tony Pollard, with an idea that he could be a guy that could spot Elliott when he's not there. Now, he'll have to do more if Elliott isn't there. And remember, the Cowboys' offensive line is darn good. I think if you put guys behind it, we've seen this in the past. Darren McFadden and guys, they've run for Alfred Morris. They've run for big yards. And so for me, I think this is a situation where the Cowboys will stay status quo. I still think they get Elliott done before the season. Gordon might be a different story, but the Chargers are okay with that.
Excellent.